Dear viewers, welcome to another video on Minitab tutorials. In the series of Minitab tutorials, we are seeing all the tools and techniques in Minitab, graphical representation in Minitab. As part of this series, today we are going to understand how we can use bar chart option in Minitab, how to draw bar chart option. Let's see the video. Friends, many of you would have very frequently used bar charts in your Microsoft Excel to represent data graphically, to compare data. Sometimes even bar charts are being used to have a time series graph of comparing previous year to next year, last week to this week. So these kind of graphical representations have been used or represented using bar graph in Microsoft Excel. We will see how the same can be done in Minitab. So here I am going to show you three types of bar graphs using Minitab. One is when you have a summarized data. When I say summarized data, the data is already summarized in a tabular format. For example, in this case, the reasons for rework for in our invoice processing team, and how many times we had invoice data related error, how many times we had typo error related data error. So that data is already summarized and that is available in a tabular format. Other option is you have a raw data. In this case, it is a data from contact center. So what is the brand of computer and what is the reason for which the tech support ticket issue was raised? So for Dell computers and Hewlett Packard computers, what is the reason? And as the call happens, the tech support representative is documenting the reason for this tech support. So it could be an operating system related ticket, it could be a hardware related ticket, it could be internet or keyboard related ticket. So this is nominal data captured as raw data, not summarized, captured as raw data. So in the previous example, it was nominal data, but that nominal data is summarized and we have represented it in a tabular format. And the third type of data that we see is, this is a data from a bank. So week on week, how much loans get dispersed for each business, line of business, car loan, home loan, farm loan, and also for different regions. So these are three types of data with which we are going to understand about bar graph in Minitab. To start with, I click on graph. And when I click on graph, I have an option called bar chart. So I click on bar chart. And in this bar chart, if you see here, there is a drop down. If I click on this drop down, there will be three options. The options are counts of unique values, a function of a variable, value from a table. So first we will look at this count of unique values. So this count of unique values selected, I have three options here. I can draw a simple chart, or I can draw a chart with clusters, or I can have a chart with stack. So let's understand how it works. So for this count of values, I'm going to use the contact center data where Dell and Hewlett Packard computers and tech support issue reason. So I'm going to use that particular data. I'm going to select the simple option and then I'm going to click on OK. And when I click on OK, a window like this opens. So in this window, if you see here, categorical variable. So this is what I need to select. So in my case, what is a categorical variable? In my case, the categorical variable is tech support ticket issue type. So that is my categorical variable. There are different reasons for which tech support tickets are getting created. So I'm going to select this and then I'm going to click on OK. And when I click on OK, this kind of a bar chart get created and it says operating system is the major issue, then followed by keyboard. So like that, it counts and convert the counted value of my categorical variable and convert that into a graph. So we can add labels to this, we can add numbers to this, all these changes that we can do. If you see here, label, you want the label to come from which particular row item, you can take it. For example here, or if you want the data to be displayed, data view. So if you say data view can be created. So all this is possible in this particular graph. Now we will see the other version of the same graph. I click on graph, I click on bar chart. So now I am going to do a cluster wise breakup. So here I'm going to select the second option and I'm going to click OK. And when I click OK, again, if you read this header, it says outermost first. So what does that mean? That means if I want to analyze a cluster, the same ticket reason for tech support ticket, but I want to analyze it at computer brand wise, then I need to select my outermost. That means the one which I consider as the fundamental cluster. So here computer brand is my fundamental cluster. For each of this brand, how many tickets are raised for operating system? How many tickets are raised for keyboard? So I will select tech support issue type as my second option. And when I select these two and click OK, I'll be able to get the same bar graph or bar chart, but this chart will be broken down into two clusters. So audio and mic related issue, there is no issue or there is no ticket for Dell, whereas in Hewlett Packard you have certain tickets. Operating system is highest for Dell, whereas in Hewlett Packard it is actually keyboard issue. So the overall raw data is getting broken down in terms of clusters, and here the cluster is name of the computer. Now we will see the third option of this graph, and the third option is I again click on graph, I click on bar chart. So now stacked. So how does this stacked works? So let's select the stacked and then we say OK. So instead, how we are going to analyze this particular cases? Instead, how we are going to analyze this particular cases? We are going to click on, or we are going to select again here outermost first. So we are going to select tech support issue as the first option, and then we are going to select computer brand as the second option. Now if I click on OK, what you will get is you will get a stacked bar. So overall I have certain number of tech support issues, 8 operating system related tickets, but of those 8 tickets Dell contribute, or in fact 12 tickets. Of those 12 tickets, Dell contribute to 8 and Hewlett Packard contribute to 4. So this kind of a stacked bar is also possible on the raw data. So if you see here, we have taken raw data, and with that raw data we have drawn a overall bar chart, we have drawn a bar chart with clusters, and we have also drawn a bar chart with stacked bars. So this is how you handle your overall data. Now we will see how to handle a function of a variable. So what do we mean by that? I click on graph, I click on bar chart. So now I use the second option, a function of the variable. I select this, I get a lot of these options. Let's understand this one by one. What do we mean by a function of the variable? So here I'm going to select this first option, simple, and I'm going to click OK. And when I click OK, the graph data, so here the graph data is the loan amount that get dispersed. That is the data on which I want this bar data to be constructed. So I select this option. And once I select this, do you want to have the average, or do you want to have the count, or do you want to have the sum, median? So you can select whichever descriptive statistics you want for that particular graph data which is loan dispersed. So I want sum, so I'm going to select sum. Okay, now I can say I want this for last 7 weeks. So I have week wise data, so I want this for last 7 weeks. So for a particular bank, what is the total loan dispersed week on week for the last 7 weeks? That data is available, and when I click OK, you will get week wise data. You will get week wise data, week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, like that you get a week wise data. Okay, now I press Ctrl E and I say okay, not week wise, maybe region wise. So my bank in India is getting divided into 5 regions. So let me see what is the region wise performance. If I want to see, this will be consolidated region wise performance for the last 7 years. This will be consolidated region wise performance for the last 7 weeks, right? Okay, now if I click on graph and if I go to bar chart and I select a function of the variable, and now let's say I wanted to see cluster, again how we saw in the previous case. If I want to see cluster, so I select cluster and then I say OK. So loan dispersed will be my value. Right, now cluster wise, what do I want to know? Let's say I want to know cluster wise, and here again your outermost first. So week wise I want to know the performance, and I also want to know the performance region wise. So that means week wise, region wise, the graph will be broken down into clusters. Let's see how does it work. If you see here, week 1 comparison of central, east, north, south and west. Week 2 comparison, week 3 comparison. So for each week, how are my 5 clusters performing? And the variability in the performance of each cluster can be understood in terms of its size of the bar. So west has outperformed on the 6th week. West has outperformed More or less, if you see central, almost on all the weeks the performances of central is almost same. So like this you will be able to analyze this if you want to do a cluster wise. Now we will see how to draw the stacked graph for this particular option. So I click on graph, I click on bar chart. Now I go for stacked and I click OK. So I want to know the, sorry, I think I have selected the wrong option. So I click on graph, I click on bar chart, I select a function of the variable. Now I go to stacked and click OK. Again, if you see, I wanted to know the average, not average, sorry, I want to know the sum. So I select the sum. Loan disbursement in INR crore is my value, graph value. Now what I want to know is, I want to know region wise what is the contribution of my line of business. So for example, in each region, which line of business is contributing, car loan, home loan, which line of business is contributing. I've selected this and I click on OK and I get this kind of a graph. And what does this graph tells me? This is a sum graph. So North has contributed to more loan for the last 7 weeks all put together. North region has contributed for more loans, and in that North region your business loans have a highest contribution, and followed by business loan the next one would be your home loan. So your home loan is the next highest contribution. Like that you will be able to analyze, and surprisingly you will see in West region education loan. In all other regions education loan not even visible, a very thin line in South zone. In other zones it's not even visible because the contribution of education loan is that much minimum in other regions. However, in West region if you see, education loan have a significant contribution. So we need to understand that's a special cause. What is happening good in West region can be replicated in other region to give a boost for education loan, if at all we wanted to do that. And what is the role of, and if you see here, there are certain regions where a particular loan have a different kind of a contribution. For example, home loan, if you see, is almost at par, or I would say better than business loan in West region, whereas in other regions it is actually the business loan which is more. So this kind of analysis can be done using the stacked bar graph. So this is how we will use a function of a particular variable and draw this graph. Finally, the last option is if your data is already available in a table. So for example, in this case, the reason for rework from an invoice processing team, that data is available here. So now we are going to draw a bar graph. So this is very simple, straightforward. I click on graph, I select bar chart, and once I select bar chart, in the drop down I select value from a table. So this is a table value available. So now I can select invoice reasons for invoice. So I can select this option and I can say OK, and here quantity of rework or the number of defects identified in each category, that will be my graph variable, and reason for rework will be my categorical variable. So I select reason for rework as my categorical variable, and now when I click OK, I get a bar graph like this. So friends, I hope this video gave you an understanding of how to draw bar graphs using different options. So in our Excel we draw bar graph, but for us to draw that bar graph, first of all we will try and convert data and summarize data using pivot table and then draw bar graph. But the latest version of Excel also gives you option to draw graph directly. You don't have to use pivot table to summarize data and then use it to draw graphs. The latest version of Excel have that option, but Minitab also have that option. So as part of Minitab tutorials, I thought today we will explain how the bar chart option can be used to our advantage to handle discrete count data with categorical factors, or a continuous data with categorical factors, and also discrete count or continuous data with more than one categorical factor, so that we will be able to draw the cluster option and try to make stratified analysis using our bar chart. So I hope this video was useful. For more such videos on Minitab tools, techniques and graphical representation, how to use Minitab for our analysis and how to use features available in Minitab to make a better presentation to our audience, please subscribe to our channel. Hope this video was useful. Thanks for your time.